What's going on, guys? This is Gravel. I'm Neil Taylor. Alongside of me this week is...
Producer Matt.
Producer Matt! Whoa!
Yeah, I guess Bobby had to go on some fancy cruise ship or something, so...
Yeah, gee, he's missing out on all this nice weather we actually have in Kansas finally.
Right, the temperatures are finally starting to drop a fraction of a bit, but it's sure a lot nicer this week than last week even.
Yeah, I'd rather be in Kansas right now than a cruise. Poor guy, Bobby.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to go that far. I think a cruise might sound like fun.
I know, I'm just really jealous and trying to hide it, that's all.
Yeah. But I don't think he's getting to ride gravel this week, so we've
That's
got that
right.
going.
So what have you been up to, Matt?
Oh, what have I been up to? I've been putting in some decent miles on the bike lately. Out on the Fargo here in the Flint Hills, riding a lot of just the simple loops. You know, I don't know if you ever get in a routine where it's just like, man, there's that one route. You really do. It seems like a couple times a week. Mm-hmm. I've been kind of in one of those kicks right here, getting ready for a bikepacking trip next week, I guess.
Nice.
With a friend. And so we've just really kind of been pushing it on that and trying to maybe back off a little bit of a race pace and figure out what a good pace is for us. We're both riding Salsa Fargos on this bikepacking trip. He's brand new to his. Ben's going on it. Ben's done some of the camera work for us here at Gravel Guru before. Just trying to lock in a pace that we're comfortable with, and we're going to be headed to Colorado for that. So we'll be up in the mountains west of Denver there for a couple of days. So I've never rode in the mountains. Have you rode in the mountains?
No, I have not ridden in the mountains.
So
Flint Hills is about it.
This could be a shock to our system and maybe our legs, and come day 3 riding back into Denver, we might not have the best attitudes, but it's a day on the bike, so how bad can it be?
Exactly. You know, you got all day. It's not like you have a schedule or a pace that you got to hit. As long as you get your miles done, well, have fun.
We've also been doing quite a bit of night riding. Mainly that was to beat the heat between Dirty Kanza weekend and now. I mean, it doesn't feel like we've had a break in the heat. No,
it's been over, I would say, 100 pretty regularly with the heat index, humidity way up. But I think this week we've started to dip down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been quite as humid. And so I'm enjoying being out a little bit more when it's sunny as opposed to the night rides. But it's been good.
So what have you been up to, Neil?
A lot of riding. Trying to get my miles back up from June. You know, after DK, I didn't want to ride too much. I needed a break. It was like anytime I got into wind after DK, I just went in this really dark place again, and so I didn't want to ride.
You're not the first person I've heard that from.
Yeah, and so it was all about, okay, let's just stay off the bike and not ride. And so, but this June, I've already probably logged almost 400 miles, in July here, almost 400 miles, and still got Lunar coming up this weekend and a handful of other things. So I hope to at least crest over 500 miles this month.
Nice.
Before it's said and done.
So do you try to, when you look at your apps or your GPS, do you say, man, every week I want to have X amount of miles, or how do you kind of judge it?
I'd like to have around 100 miles at least if I could.
Yeah.
That to me just seems like a good mark as far as mileage. And usually between, I'd go on a Tuesday night ride here with a group ride here in town. Thursday night ride usually is a group ride here in town. So I try to make both of those. Between those, I end up with about 60, and then it's like, okay, I got to get out 40 on my own and really kind of just truck it along those miles. And so
that's with myself. I usually shoot for 100 miles a week. This week I'm going to be over with the 50 miles for Lunar on Saturday night, but there's been a lot of weeks lately that I've been at like 85. So I just try to keep that mental mindset and to go with it. What do you have coming up?
Well, this weekend, like you say, Lunar. Got Lunar coming up. I haven't done Lunar before. I know it's more or less a fun ride. Yes, will be my first time doing Lunar. I just usually it hasn't hit very well for me on whatever weekend it's been scheduled.
The way it has to shift with full moons always seems like it catches me somewhere. I know the last couple of years I've had to be at a work conference too. I think I've only done it once, and that was the inaugural year of it. So,
and let me tell you, if it's clear, the moon like last night was getting close to full, and it was awesome. Yeah. And I'm like, if it's that clear Saturday night, it's going to be gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it'll be a fantastic night out there. Hopefully the weather holds out. You just never know. The thing is with weather, I know Leland sent out an email to everybody registered earlier in the week, and it's Kansas. Give it 15 minutes and it's going to change.
Yeah, so. I've learned with, especially like Dirty Kanza here in town, being local, I don't even worry about watching the weather anymore because I can.
How has that worked out the last 2 years, watching the weather weeks before?
Really, what does it matter? I mean, it completely changes.
I mean, both the last 2 years we've had those pop-up rainstorms. Early morning hours. When in Kansas does it usually storm in the morning like that?
I know.
DK
Dirty Kanza weekend, yeah. So next year you can mark it down already. I'm going to call June 1st, 2019. There'll be an early morning storm sometime between 3 and 5 a.m.
Fair enough. Neil called it. We will write it on the marker board.
Sounds good.
Lunar Kansa, though, they released a new route for it this year.
They did, yeah.
What do you think of that route from riding in this area?
I love going up by Coahulla. I don't get to do it as much as I used to because a lot of times for Dirty Kanza recently we've been going south. And since we've been going south, I've been riding south a little bit more, getting down into Greenwood County. And so I've only been up around Coahulla maybe twice in the last year. And there's some good hills up there.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
some good climbs. And when you get to that top of the hill there and you can look back over Lake Coahulla and just see it, that's a gorgeous view.
Key statement, when you get to the top of that hill, that might be easier said than done. That is a climb out of the lake.
I've only climbed it once on a single speed, and that was actually last August, and it just ripped my legs apart. It is such a big climb out from the lake, but it's fun too.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous area out there. The DK used to go up in that area in years past, so it's just a fantastic area. It's going to be kind of a lollipop route. Is that a good way to call it?
Yeah.
Up through Americus, Kansas. They've got a great Casey's up there, and I think they're going to have a sag stop there downtown. And then it kind of goes to the lake and then makes a lap around it. So a lot of cool things to see out there in the hills around the lake and then come back. But hey, if you can't do the full 50, don't feel bad about turning around at 20. Whatever you need to do.
Exactly. And for people that are coming out for that, have fun. It's not a race. You know, we're all, I think, starting together, if I'm not mistaken. So let's start together, have a good time. Yeah, groups are going to separate off. But don't be out there thinking that you have to ride race mentality and let's all jump off at 20, 23, 25 miles an hour and book out of town. To me at least, I want to enjoy the 50 miles.
That's exactly it. And that's what I talked about, kind of gearing down a little bit, getting ready for this bike packing. Finding a speed we can roll at all day. That's kind of going to be a shakedown for us for 50 miles out there. Just what can we roll at comfortably? How do we have a good time? How do we have some conversation? So if you see us out there, we want to talk to everybody. Say you watch the show. Tell us what you're up to, where you're from. Hopefully going to see a lot of our viewers out there.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, build some of that community. This is a good event, I would say, to build the community and get to know people that you don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of building community, we just had Kristi Mohn in the studio to come in and talk about the inaugural Dirty Kanza Womens Camp. Let's hear from her. Well, thanks for joining me today in the studio, Kristi.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're here to talk today about Dirty Kanza Women's Training Camp. First year for this. Kind of give us a quick overview.
Well, we kind of wanted to take the 200 Women, 200 Miles a little bit further. So really that's kind of the basis for this. And having been a busy mom and businesswoman most of my riding time, I really wanted to try to do a camp that was focused more on giving women tips and tools for being faster and better on the bike and using their time wisely.
Very cool. Obviously, this is an initiative the Dirty Kanza seems very interested in growing this part of the sport. You know, when is this camp and why did that idea come around to you guys?
Well, the camp is September 20th through the 23rd. Okay. It's this fall. It kind of came out of just our regular Dirty Kanza training camps and seeing a need for giving women a little bit more of a push and incentive. And focusing more on them, letting them ask questions that they may have, feel just a tiny bit more comfortable potentially. So that's where it kind of came from. And
obviously it's a couple months out, so you might not have all the details worked out yet. But what are some of the things you hope they take home from this training camp?
We really hope that they leave with an understanding of how to train with some special tips and tools. For one thing, you know, like training with power, understanding how that works. We are also focusing some on nutrition and hoping to arm these women with not only nutrition tips on the bike, but also off the bike. You know, easy ways to feed your family, make sure that you're getting, you know, shortcuts that you can use to help you use your training time better, but still be able to take care of those people that you're usually responsible for taking care of.
Okay, very cool. Kind of an all-encompassing. They want to cover the whole part of the cycling.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Where's the training camp going to be?
Obviously here in Emporia, Kansas.
Okay.
One thing that we're pretty excited about is Saturday is going to be a little bit special on the fact that we're going to, the training camp includes the Bleeding Kansas inaugural event up by Manhattan. Okay. So we'll load up and go up there and participate in that event as a group. It's a gravel grinduro style. So although it is a race, basically there's just segments in that ride that you race, and other than that, you know, that are kind of timed. Other than that, it's kind of a group ride with some challenges in it. So
very cool.
We think it works well for camp.
Very cool. So all these folks that are coming to the camp will also get, you know, go explore the Flint Hills.
Yes, very much.
Okay.
Very much.
who are you guys kind of bringing in as guides, and kind of what is that going to look like?
Well, we've secured Kristen Legan for sure. She's been the Dirty Kanza training, like official training coach.
Yeah, I think her and Nick are out on Trans South Dakota right now.
Yep, she's very legit, and she's amazing. So we're really excited about that. We're working towards a female mechanic. We have a couple leads on that, so we're trying to secure that. And it looks like we've got Rebecca Rush tentatively scheduled to come and be one of the coaches as well. Part of it was we got to make sure the camp makes, but I think we're really pretty close. So.
Okay. Now, if people want to register for the camp, is there still time for all of that?
Yep. Okay. Definitely.
What do they need to do? How do they need to get a hold of you guys?
Dirty Kanza Promotions, our website, not the Dirty Kanza site, but the Dirty Kanza Promotions site.
We'll have a link in the description of the video.
Perfect. Under training camps there, that's where it's linked.
Okay.
And then obviously dirtykanza@gmail.com will go to me, and I can help you out if you've got questions on it.
And you're very, outgoing about this topic. When they leave on Sunday or whatever from training camp or Monday, what do you hope they all have in their mind?
That they can, we're kind of saying, put yourself first without putting others last. Okay. And I think it's kind of an idea that when you're training for endurance events, a lot of times it means being a little bit selfish, but it doesn't mean that others have to feel like you're being selfish. So I think the idea is that we're going to try to help you figure out ways to make it all work.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kristi. We'll make sure and put more information up on the site about the camp coming up, and hope to see some ladies in town that weekend.
That'd be great.
Awesome, Kristi. Thanks for coming in, visiting with Matt a little bit. September 20th through 23rd, Matt, that's coming up.
Yeah.
Thoughts on women's camp here in town?
I think it's fantastic. The more people we can get on bikes out here in the gravel of the Flint Hills and gravel in general, the better off we all are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think it's great just watching over the past couple years this push by, Bobby down there with, letting all the women who were on the waiting list at Land Run a couple years ago in.
Yep. The 200 Women 200 Miles initiative the last couple of years with Dirty Kanza.
Yeah, it's just awesome. And getting these ladies out there, getting them comfortable is important. That's important for me, obviously. Brandy, my wife, started riding recently. And she's been going out there doing 15, 17, mile rides.
She's been on a bike for like a week, though.
Just over, she's at about 15, 16 days now of owning that bike, and she's logged a little bit over 100 miles so far.
That's fantastic.
She's just having a blast out there. She's, had to learn a couple things. And she's.
We all have to start somewhere. I've been, my time hop on Facebook's been coming up, and it's like 6 years ago, me bragging about, hey, I went on an 8-mile ride tonight. Yes! So we all start somewhere with that, and I think it's a lot of fun to watch people grow. I love getting new people out on bikes, and even if I just throw them on an old mountain bike we have hanging in the garage to get them out on their first gravel ride and just see how that opens them up and kind of provides that little bit of freedom to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously it's important, too, because I got a little girl who's she'll be turning 9 here in November, and Abigail was always so scared to jump on a bike. She was afraid she was going to fall. And
you say little, but she's about taller than me almost.
She is like 4'9" as an 8-year-old. But she was always afraid. And we went to one of the Dirty Kanza registration parties that they had at Gravel City, and she walked around and she saw all these ladies, and she specifically met Lynn Bluebaugh, and she just all of a sudden something clicked. I can ride bikes.
Yeah.
And so now she's seeing all these women, in town here for Dirty Kanza. When we were down at Land Run this past year, she met a lot of the ladies that ride, and they all encouraged her. And I think it's great seeing more women get out, having events like this to encourage them to be comfortable. Because I know at least some of the women I've talked to, there's intimidation factors. Even talking to Brandy, it's, okay, I don't know if I want to go out yet on my own. Usually she's ridden at least with 1 or 2 friends. But the thought of going out on your own and being 15, 20 minutes away from, or 20 miles away from any sort of civilization is kind of...
I think we're at a fantastic time in gravel cycling right now. When you've got role models, like, and I know Abigail's seen most of these talk, Amanda Panda. Yes. I mean, fantastic role model, awesome person to talk to. Rebecca Rush, Allison Tetrick. I mean, there's just so many people to look up to for someone like Abigail right now that are fantastic, and they're accessible. Anytime they're in town, they always make so much time to talk to people and hang out. So
yeah, Abigail one day was on my phone going through my Instagram, and she wanted to look at women that were cycling, and so we pulled up Amanda's Instagram page, and before I knew it, I think every picture that Amanda had pretty much Abigail had gone through and liked. So
is that a disclaimer to Amanda that it wasn't just Neil sitting there going through all of the timeline?
Yeah, a couple years ago, Abigail just went crazy, just liking every single picture. But she loves Amanda. She's gotten to talk with her a couple times. Got to meet her again this past year at DK. Got to meet her at the Queen's Court back in April. And so Amanda's accessible, definitely, and all these women are and are therefore, I think, our future generations, because the reality is at some point they're going to probably end up moving on from cycling, or at least as competitive, and these younger girls are going to be coming up in, and I think it's great that they're nurturing that future.
Exactly. What else do we have coming up?
Got social media coming up, don't we?
We do have social media. I've been going through it, trying to pull the best photos this week, so let's take a look.
And here's this episode's social media. Todd Fry sent in this photo from the Bohemian Stow Mill in the beautiful Bohemian Alps of Nebraska. Jerry was out exploring the Mickelson Trail, Black Hills of South Dakota. Beautiful countryside, he said. Anthony was out exploring mid-Georgia, Okie Woods with over a 20-mile loop. Donald Griggs got in 200 miles of trails, paths, gravel, and tarmac, training for a ride across Minnesota. John Cragen was out exploring southeast Georgia. John Green sent in this photo north of Lincoln, Nebraska. Gravel World's just right around the corner up there. Colin Shellman was out exploring the gravel from Bonner Springs to Lawrence, Kansas and back. Wendy Shear was out exploring with Kate Gates the Mulberry Gap Mountain Bike Getaway. Josh sent in this photo from the Heck Epic in northern Minnesota, 228 miles over the 2-day event. Great scenery up there and a fun mix of road conditions. Mary sent in this awesome photo of the gravel in New Mexico. Lori and Patrick were out exploring and touring from Glenwood Springs to Castle Rock, Colorado. Thank you to everybody that submitted photos using the hashtag #ThisIsGravel.
All right, guys, awesome. Thanks for those pictures. We love them. Again, make sure you're tagging them with This Is Gravel. I know on Monday Matt puts the thing out on Facebook. Make sure that you're shooting your pictures
when he remembers. When he remembers to put it out.
When he remembers. Yeah, sometimes it might not come on Monday. It might be Tuesday.
Yeah, it might be Monday evening, but you know.
Yeah, but still, we love seeing what you guys have done over the weekend, what you're doing recently, because, again, as we've said before, there's a lot of stuff going on. But regardless, tag them on Instagram with This Is Gravel, because I know we see those.
Selfishly, I feel like I'm going on a whole lot of adventures when I get those sent in. So I love seeing them. There's nothing that makes me smile more, honestly, on Mondays than when I start getting notifications of people popping up and posting on there.
And when I see them, too, it's an encouragement thing, because it's like, okay, maybe I had a week where I haven't been out on the bike as much, and I see you guys going out and see some of these awesome roads. I'm like, all right, I need to go out and see some.
Shout out, though. That mud last week is still ridiculous. I don't care. That did not make me want to get out and ride in the mud. Just putting that out there.
No, but again, those pictures are pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, because we're still talking about it like 2 weeks later. So
exactly. Those epic pictures where you're, neck deep in mud and just covered.
They literally could have been neck deep if you stepped the wrong way in that thing. So lots of events coming up, though, Neil.
Yeah, this week out in Burlington, Kansas, just a little bit east here of Emporia, about 45 minutes or so. The Bomb's coming up. I think that's the second year that Cliff has done that race. He's got a couple of different distances.
I think that's tied into the Coffee County Fair, I think.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what dictates his schedule and what makes it this week every year for him. So
yeah, and so it's a pretty decent race. He's got, I think, a 25, 50, and 100-mile route option out there. Of course, we've mentioned Lunar earlier. Next big thing, though, I would say on my schedule is Gravel Worlds. I mean, we're about three and a half weeks out from Gravel Worlds at this point.
18th of August.
It's going to be here pretty fast, which reminds me I need to book a hotel room for that since it is coming up quick.
So do we.
But I'm looking forward to it. I've signed up for the 150 single speed again this year. I did that last year, and I'll be honest.
You just don't learn, do you?
I'm stupid. It's just reality. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. So we'll see how it goes this year. This year I got a different bike on that 9er single speed. It's a lot nicer. So hopefully it won't be.
Yeah, your bike probably weighs half of what it did last year.
Pretty darn close, man. It's really a lot lighter bike. Of course, I've got it's set up tubeless now, carbon Cantu wheels, so that's fantastic. It rolls a lot easier. So I'm hoping that I can go out there, gear it the same as I did last year, and not have to walk every hill for the last 20 miles.
You just never know what Lincoln's going to dish up for you, though. I mean, some years it's been nice weather. Some years, like last year, it's been brutally hot. I love Gravel Worlds. We had Corey and Craig on a couple weeks ago on the show. I think it's going to keep growing up there, keep getting bigger. I know they've been talking about getting some permits and stuff for some extra stuff and out on the roads. So I'm really excited to see what the course is this year. So
yeah, I've heard rumors here and there that it's obviously a little bit of a different route, might even heading a little bit different direction, but I don't even know. These are just rumors that some guys walk around the bike shop. Hey, I think I heard from somebody up in Nebraska this, and so we'll see. I am excited for it. I know that route is coming here in a few weeks, so I'm ready to see it, ready to kind of get it loaded in, and man, I'm excited about it. It's a fun race. It's awesome to get up. If you haven't done Gravel Worlds before, by the way, it starts early in the morning. You actually get to ride and see the sunset, at least the way we headed out last year. Sunrise. You get to see the sunset, too, if you're slow, like me. But I got to see the sunrise, and that was fantastic.
Well, last year was coming out of there in that fog, kind of that low-lying fog. Plot twist. First race I've ever covered in the fog, and I stood on the wrong hill off course for about an hour that morning waiting for riders. They never showed up.
Nice.
Only time that's ever happened to us in all the races we've gone to. Some random farmer's driveway in Nebraska. Oh, well.
But it's beautiful out there. I mean, watching the sunrise is great. Like you say, especially when we had the fog last year, it was so surreal. Had a blast. That's why I'm coming back. Last year was basically a free entry that a friend had transferred to me, so I'm like, give it a try, why not? And fell in love and can't wait to go hang out with the Pirates again.
And once Gravel Worlds is over, we get into a lot more kind of regional, local races. Kind of in the fall, the weather cools down, so a lot more things start popping up. And
there's a ton of regional races coming September, October. I mean, you got things like Pony Express, Lap the Lakes. You got Jagger up in Eskridge, which is just a brutal 40-mile race. That I don't know why I keep signing up for every year, except that I love Ryan.
Then you get over to the Idaho area, you got RPI, you've got JP's Gravel Pursuit, so a lot of big ones coming up, and I can't wait for it.
So a bunch in Iowa too. You mentioned that. I think you were talking about maybe even heading up towards Iowa.
I'm going to try late Iowa to go up. I think it's the IC Gravel Grinder put on by the bike shop there in Iowa City, World of Bikes.
And you got a Spotted Horse up there that Sarah Cooper puts on as well. So.
And next week, we got 24 Hours of Cummins coming up, so lots of things. I mean, we're back in gravel season. We've kind of had the midsummer break, so
it's exciting.
Well, thanks for watching. Make sure you follow Minister of Gravel. Make sure you give Bobby a like, even though he's out on some cruise.
Jerk.
Yep, follow Gravel Guru. Share your photos with us and follow along.